Greetings, all you students out in Rapid City and Yankton and Sioux Falls that we're going to visit with today. My name is Jim Petrik, and I'm your farmer for this semester, or for the school year. Just a little bit about our operation. We farm down here about halfway between Yankton and Vermilion, down here alongside the Missouri River. And so we've had just another real challenging year here at the farm, but a total different set of challenges as far as we just had a lot of drought and a lot of heat. And so it's been tough on our livestock and tough on our crops and stuff, but we've made it through the best we can. A little bit about our operation. We raise corn and soybeans down here in our row crop operation, and we raise some alfalfa hay for our cows, and then we have some pasture, of course, for our cattle herd. We raise quite a few hogs here on our farm. We crank out about 5,000 to 6,000 head of hogs a year, and then we have a cow herd, and we take our calves, and when they're weaned and taken away from the mothers, we'll background them is what we call it, but we'll feed them up to about 700 pounds and then sell them. So we've got a real diversified farm here with two kinds of livestock and different crops. On this first video, I think we're just going to give you a quick tour of the farming operation, and then we'll go into a little more detail as we get further on the road. One of our main businesses here at the farm is pork production, and the farm that I live on here is a nursery and finishing farm. That means we keep our sows and our male hogs, called the boars, on another farm, and the babies are born over there, and when they're ready to wean, which is when we take them away from the mother, they come to my farm. We keep the pigs segregated by age group because that allows us to keep them a lot healthier. If we're not mixing older pigs and younger pigs together, we can maintain a little better biosecurity, and we can keep the pigs a lot healthier. These little guys are about 3.5 weeks old. They're weighing about 18 pounds. We just took them away from the mothers on Saturday because they're big enough to wean. They're big enough to eat on their own and take good care of themselves. And so these pigs will stay in these smaller buildings called our nurseries for about 8 weeks. And in those 8 weeks, those pigs will grow to a weight, they'll weigh about 70 pounds already when they're ready to come out of here. So they'll weigh about 70 pounds at about 10 weeks of age. So if we take good care of the pigs and we provide them with really good nutrition and a good environment, they'll grow extremely fast. So these little guys are well on their way. They're really a healthy, sparky bunch of pigs, and so that's what we like to see when they come in. When the baby pigs come in, since they're only 3.5 weeks of age, and they've never really eaten anything but their mother's milk. So they really need a super high quality level of nutrition to get them off to a fast and healthy start in the world. These guys here, they'll get a diet that has some corn and some soybean meal in it, but it'll also have a lot of really high quality proteins in it. It'll have like fish meal, blood plasma, and a lot of milk products. So it's got a lot of really highly digestible proteins in it to get the pigs started eating quickly, and it's something that they really like as far as the taste, and it'll get them off to a real healthy start. And at about 10 weeks of age, when they're about 70, 75 pounds, they're old enough where they can go into our finishing barns. And the finishing barns are basically the same type of buildings, except that they of course have a lot more floor space and to allow for their bigger body size, and we don't have to keep them quite as warm, because as the pigs get bigger, they start generating more of their own body heat, and it takes a lot less propane and electricity to keep the buildings warm. So we'll duck in the finishing barn and we'll take a look at some older pigs. We're inside the finishing barn now. I'm in here with some older pigs. These guys are about 5.5 months of age. You can see they've grown really fast and performed well, and they're almost ready for market. So in about 2 weeks, these pigs will be ready for market. The best females in here, we'll sell the best females from this group for breeding stock to other pork producers, and the balance of the hogs will be harvested for feed production. But these guys have done really well. You can see as we get into this we get these bigger pigs, we obviously need to move the pigs into some bigger pens, and that's what we do when we get them into the finishing barn. The other thing you'll notice about this barn is the floors are slatted. So when the pigs go to the bathroom, the manure will fall through the slats and go down into the pit underneath the building. And obviously this allows for the pigs to stay nice and clean, like you can see, because they don't have to worry about being around their own manure. And then it allows us to capture the manure underneath the building, and we can pump it out in the spring and the fall and apply it to our crop ground. As I said, we also run a small cow herd. Our cows still have their calves nursing them. You can see them out here in the background. And this is kind of my favorite time of year for the cow herd, because we had such an early harvest this year. We've gotten some corn combined, and once the corn is combined, we can put our cows back out here on the corn stalks. And the reason it's my favorite time of year is because these cows are busy recycling for me. I don't have to feed them anything because they're out here harvesting what's left of the corn crop out here. If there's any ears of corn that fall on the ground that the combine doesn't get, the cows will be out here and they'll gather them up and eat them. And they also love to eat the corn stalk residue. So they're out here eating the stalks and any corn that's on the ground, or any grass or anything that would have grown in the field that we didn't want in there anyway. Since we're kind of in the heat of harvest at this time, we're going to talk to you a little bit about combining. I know we're a little pressed for time, but we're combining about a month ahead of schedule this year because of drought. So I'm going to give you a little bit of down low on the combine situation. So our combine is a pretty complicated piece of machinery, but basically we take the crop and we drive through it and we gather it up in the front of the machine here. This is the bean head, and as it goes through the machine, it'll go through what we call the rotor, but it's the part of the combine that will separate the grain from the rest of the plant. And the parts of the plant that we are not trying to capture will go out the back of the combine, and then the grain will go up into the tank. This big blue wagon is what is known as a grain cart. After we harvest the grain and get into the combine, we unload it into our grain cart here. And our grain cart's fitted with an electronic scale so that we can weigh every bushel of grain that we produce on the farm, and so we know which fields are producing how much grain, and it helps us make good decisions as far as what crops to plant into which fields in the next year and stuff. As you can see, it's super dusty out here today because we've had so much dry weather for so long, but we're really fortunate. Our crops are actually a lot better than I thought they would be. Especially some of these fields where we've applied some animal manure, we've got pretty decent yields, so we're pretty happy. We're a lot more fortunate than some others are, so I guess we're blessed to have what we got anyway.